Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into a topic that's often misunderstood, I think, the life of a loner.
Yeah,
But before anyone jumps to any conclusions, we're going to explore all of the unexpected benefits of actually embracing solitude,
right.
especially for those of you listening who are in those creative fields.
Absolutely.
It's so fascinating to me how society often just equates being alone with being lonely
hmm
and then like automatically makes that a bad thing.
Yeah, it's almost like it's been programmed into us, that if you're not constantly surrounded by people, you're somehow missing out.
Totally. And that's kind of what we're going to unpack today, right?
hmm
Using the article Unexpected Benefits of Being a Loner as
Yeah.
our guide. I'm really curious to see what we find.
Yeah, me too. I think we should probably first address the elephant in the room,
Okay.
the stigma.
Uh,
The idea that being a loner is somehow undesirable.
yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Okay, so how do we I guess reframe that then?
Well, what if I told you that those who um, prefer their own company might actually be tapping into a very unique power?
Hmm.
Let's start with this idea of self-awareness.
Okay.
Solitude allows for deep introspection. At least that's what our source argues.
So it's kind of like taking off that social mask and just being totally honest with yourself.
Exactly, exactly. You create a space where you're free from all those outside influences.
Right.
And you can really tune into your own thoughts, feelings, and values.
Okay.
You begin to understand your motivations, your strengths, even those areas where you could grow.
That makes a lot of sense. I imagine, this deeper self-awareness is valuable for anyone, but especially, like we were saying, artists, writers,
Right.
creative types.
Think about it. Creative work requires a deep understanding of human experience,
Hmm.
both your own and that of others.
Yeah.
Solitude provides that space to really cultivate that understanding.
And I like how the source also points out that, this heightened self-awareness can actually lead to a more genuine way of expressing your creativity.
hmm
Because when you're no longer trying to, fit a mold or please others, you're creating from a place of true understanding.
Yes. It's like finding your unique voice,
Hmm.
both as a person and an artist.
Yeah.
And that really resonates with people.
It does. So the source dives into this link between solitude and creativity. And this is where I think it gets really interesting
Yes.
for everyone listening. We're always told to network and collaborate. And I'm not saying those aren't important,
Right.
but the source argues that solitude is where the real magic happens.
Yeah, I think it's because it really allows your mind to just wander,
Cool.
make unexpected connections, and that's often how breakthroughs happen.
All those aha moments that you don't even see coming
Exactly.
when you're in the shower or going on a walk or something.
It's giving that imagination space to just roam free.
That reminds me of that story of how Archimedes discovered buoyancy while he was taking a bath.
Exactly.
Perfect example.
A perfect example. So those moments of insight often happen when we step away from all the noise of the outside world
Okay.
and just allow our minds to wander.
So it's not just about avoiding distractions. It's more about actively seeking out solitude
Yes.
to cultivate that creativity.
Yes.
And that, I think, leads perfectly into this idea of solitude and independence, which the source also talks about.
Yes, and loners tend to develop this really strong sense of self-reliance. I mean, they're used to figuring things out on their own.
Oh, for sure. They're not afraid to forge their own path,
Mhm.
even if it means going against the grain.
Absolutely. And, that can be a big asset in the creative world. It
Yeah.
takes a certain level of, nonconformity
Right.
and a willingness to challenge what everyone else is doing. Think about groundbreaking artists
Mm.
like Frida Kahlo or David Bowie. They didn't follow the crowd.
Yeah. No, they really embrace their individuality.
Exactly. And they created something really unique and powerful because of it.
Yes, and that often comes from that deep sense of self-reliance,
Yes.
which, like we've been saying, solitude can definitely help develop.
Right.
And the source makes a good point that this independence leads to other great life skills,
Mm-hmm.
like being a better problem solver
Yes.
or having more confidence.
Well, when you're used to depending on yourself, you become incredibly resourceful. You're good at finding solutions to problems. And that self-sufficiency breeds confidence.
Yeah, because you're not looking to other people to validate you. You're finding it yourself,
Right.
which is a pretty powerful thing. You're free from the need to please everybody
Exactly.
and can focus on creating work that's true to your own vision.
Exactly.
But, okay, I think the big question a lot of people have is, does being alone automatically mean you feel lonely?
Right. It's a good question, and the source actually kind of tackles this head on. They suggest that maybe the opposite could be true.
Really?
Yeah, they say loners are very selective when it comes to relationships.
So they're not antisocial or anything?
Right, they just they value quality over quantity.
I can see that.
And that's because I think solitude really helps them set boundaries.
Okay.
They're not afraid to say no
Right.
to things that don't align with their values.
That makes sense.
So they enter relationships from a place of strength
Mm-hmm.
with authenticity.
Yeah, they're choosing to connect with people who they really resonate with
Exact.
instead of feeling obligated to maintain like all these superficial relationships.
Yeah, exactly. And that can lead to some really deep and meaningful bonds.
Absolutely. It frees up more time and energy for the things that they truly enjoy.
Right. So we've got self-awareness, creativity, independence, and even the potential for deeper relationships.
It's pretty impressive when you put it all together.
And the source doesn't stop there. It also explores how solitude can really impact mental health.
Okay, this is a big one, right? We're kind of challenging some deeply ingrained societal beliefs here.
Yeah, we are. We're told that being alone equals being lonely,
Yeah,
and that that's always a bad thing.
automatically a negative. But what if it isn't?
Well, that's what the source is saying. They make the point that constantly being surrounded by people is mentally draining.
Oh, tell me about it. It's like your energy is being pulled in a million directions.
Right. You're constantly navigating all these social dynamics.
Oh, yeah. Responding to other people's needs, it's exhausting.
Exactly. And that's where solitude can be so restorative. It gives you that chance to just like step away.
It's like hitting the reset button.
Exactly. It allows you to recharge, process your emotions, and really reconnect with yourself.
And isn't that where we hear that inner voice everyone's always talking about?
It is. It really is. And the source mentions things like meditation and journaling, which, I think those are way more effective when you're alone.
Well, I think so, too. When you have that space to yourself, without all those distractions, you can really get into it.
Right. And, whether it's exploring your thoughts and feelings through journaling or finding some inner peace through meditation, solitude kind of provides the perfect setting.
I like that. It's like taking a break, but you're actually actively using that alone time to nourish your mental and emotional well-being.
Exactly. And speaking of active use of time, the source also talks about solitude and its link to productivity.
Now, this one seems a little counterintuitive.
It does, right.
We usually think of being productive as something that happens in those busy collaborative environments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the source makes a really interesting point about the power of solitude for, well, anyone really, but especially for creatives.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, when you're alone, you're free from all those distractions and interruptions.
It's like you can finally focus.
Yeah, you enter that flow state, time just melts away.
Oh, yeah. I know that feeling when I'm writing.
There you go.
Being alone, no distractions, that's where I do my best work.
The source talks about this software developer who, to escape distractions, he built a small cabin in the woods. No internet access, just him and his coding.
Wow.
And he said his productivity went through the roof.
It's like creating the sanctuary for your mind.
Exactly. That's where the magic happens. You can think clearly, make connections, and tap into that creative energy that so often gets stifled.
I love that. So anyone struggling with procrastination, feeling overwhelmed by their to-do list, maybe what you need is a dose of solitude.
It's worth trying.
Yeah.
Now, the source also talks about solitude's role in building emotional resilience.
Oh, this is a good one. It really challenges the idea that we need constant support from others to, deal with difficult emotions.
That's right. The source argues that solitude can equip us with the tools we need to face those challenges with strength.
It's like having that inner strength that can't be touched.
And how does solitude do that? Well, I think it allows us to process our emotions in a safe space.
Mm-hmm. When we're alone, we can really feel those feelings. No need to put on a brave face.
Exactly. It's like giving yourself permission to be human.
Yes.
With all those messy, complicated emotions. And that's so important for growth.
It is, because when you can just sit with the discomfort and acknowledge your feelings without pushing them down, you really become more resilient.
Yes. And the source also points out that solitude can help us develop those self-soothing techniques.
Oh, right. Because when you're alone, you have to rely on yourself to regulate those emotions.
Exactly. And you might discover things like deep breathing, meditation, or even just a walk in nature.
So over time, you build up this toolkit of coping mechanisms that you can use anytime.
It's like building an internal support system. You're not relying solely on others anymore.
You've got this.
Yeah,
And that's got to feel pretty empowering, knowing you have the strength to handle whatever comes your way.
absolutely. And this feeling of empowerment often carries over into decision making, which the source also explores.
Okay, I'm curious about this one. How does being alone help you make better decisions?
Well, when you're always surrounded by people, you're surrounded by their opinions and advice and expectations.
It's easy to lose sight of your own inner voice.
Yeah, it is. And that's where solitude comes in. It creates a space for clear thinking, away from all that influence.
Like turning down the volume on all that outside noise.
Exactly. And then, you can hear your own intuition
And your desires.
and your own values, and you're more likely to make choices that are authentically you.
You're not doing things because you think you should.
Right. You're making choices because they feel right. And the source emphasizes how this can lead to more satisfaction and fulfillment in life.
Makes sense. You're creating a life that truly reflects who you are.
Exactly. And there's this real sense of agency that comes with that.
I like that.
It extends to all areas of life: career, relationships, your creative pursuits. You're taking charge.
It's like solitude becomes this training ground for personal empowerment.
It is. You learn to trust your judgment, make decisions that are right for you, and just live a life that's true to your own vision.
Wow. It sounds like we've uncovered even more benefits of being a loner than we thought.
I think so too. And what's really interesting is the source doesn't present these benefits as being only for loners.
Okay.
These are things anyone can cultivate just by choosing solitude.
It's not about putting yourself in a box. It's about recognizing the value of alone time.
Yes, it's all about finding that balance between connection and solitude. That's how you thrive.
I like that. And we got a few more benefits to cover in part 3.
Mm.
Welcome back to our deep dive into all the unexpected benefits of being a loner.
Yes, welcome back.
We've covered a lot, debunking that stigma, exploring the link between solitude and creativity. I think we're really starting to see how society's view of solitude, as this negative thing,
Right.
could be, well, not only misguided, but even harmful.
I think it's especially true for people who naturally are drawn to solitude.
Right. It's like we're telling them that a fundamental part of who they are is wrong.
Yeah. And I think that suppression can really impact people.
It can affect everything. Creativity, productivity, even their mental and emotional health.
Absolutely.
And the source really highlights that by pointing out all the unique benefits that loners bring to the table.
Right.
Okay, so where do we go from here? What other benefits do we have to talk about?
Well, they talk about something that I think is at the core of what it means to embrace solitude.
Okay.
It's the ability to find joy in the quiet moments.
Those pockets of stillness that are so often overlooked,
Yeah, we live in such a fast-paced world.
We do. It's like we've completely forgotten how to just be.
Yeah, how to be present in the moment without having to fill every silence with noise.
Exactly.
And that's a real shame because I think it's those quiet moments where we really connect with ourselves, with our surroundings, with those deeper rhythms of life.
I love how the source uses that metaphor. They say loners are like deep sea divers.
Oh, yeah.
They're exploring all the hidden depths of their inner world while everyone else is just splashing around on the surface.
I love that. That's a great analogy. It captures that sense of depth that you can get from solitude.
It really does. And so much of what we've talked about comes back to that idea, exploring those inner depths.
Yeah, that self-awareness, those creative breakthroughs, emotional resilience, those all come from those quiet moments
Right.
of introspection, contemplation.
And loners are good at cultivating this inner richness because they're comfortable with silence, which is being.
Yeah, they're not afraid to, disconnect from the world and tune into themselves.
And that's a skill I think we could all learn from.
I agree.
It's not about labeling yourself a loner or not.
Right.
It's about recognizing that solitude isn't taking something away. It's an opportunity.
Right. It's a chance to recharge, to reconnect, and to discover all that's within us. Creativity, insight, peace.
The source also makes a good point about how appreciating solitude leads to a deeper connection with nature.
Yes, I love that point because, when you're alone in nature,
Yeah.
You're free from all those distractions.
Yeah.
You can really immerse yourself in the beauty of everything.
And it's grounding.
It is.
It's a restorative.
Very much so. It's like nature reflects back that peace and stillness you've cultivated inside.
That's beautiful.
And that, often leads to appreciating the simple things.
Yeah.
The little things.
You start noticing the sunlight through the leaves.
Yeah, the birds singing, the wind on your skin, all things we miss when we're rushing around.
Right, constantly bombarded with everything. But when you create that space, that solitude, you open yourself up to that.
It's a whole new level of awareness and appreciation.
And it can bring so much joy.
So much contentment.
Yeah.
It's about finding happiness in the present moment, just in being alive.
Okay, so to recap, embracing solitude can lead to heightened self-awareness, greater creativity, deeper relationships, better mental health. You'll be more productive.
You'll be more emotionally resilient.
Better at making decisions. And you'll have this deeper appreciation for the quiet moments.
And the simple things in life.
It's quite a list.
It is. And I think we've only scratched the surface.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm really excited about all this.
Yeah.
Because what we've found isn't just a list of benefits.
Right.
It's a whole new way of looking at things.
It's a reminder that sometimes the best company you can have is your own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To everyone listening, embrace that solitude. Explore those inner depths and see what you find.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us.